let's talk about some of the stuff that you've been talking about on the show. So you did an episode yesterday about the normalization of pornography in the culture. It's the stuff that you can do better than pretty much anyone else. Because number one, if I talk about the normalization of pornography in the culture,
Candace Owens can talk about the normalization of porn in the culture better than anyone else, is what he just said. Can you believe that shit? Like, she's as conservative as they get. You don't think about, you wouldn't think that some like uber lefty pro-sexual liberation type of feminist lefty woman would be way better for talking about the perpetuation of porn in society, especially if she talks about problems with porn addiction and something like that. So yeah, there's really stupid statement number one.
I'm a sexist. If you talk about the normalization of pornography of the culture, then you're a feminist. So it's good. You can say these things. So what exactly were you talking about on the show yesterday?
Well, I will say, Ben, I did take a page out of your book and I dropped a couple of bleeps because it was just way too expletive. I went bleep, bleep, bleep. But I was just sort of talking about...
Oh, no, the conservatives are swearing, man.
Where we're headed towards. And it was a conversation that I was having with my husband about pornography. My husband completely abstains from social media. And if you ask him, he just casually says, because it's all pornography. He's talking about Instagram. He's talking about Facebook. He's talking about...
Okay, it's not porn, but most of it is porn. If I understand correctly, I'm gonna look at what percentage of social media is
opening
porn.
up a page and looking at the Daily Mail, but we've become so desensitized to it. So when I'm on Instagram, I don't even pay attention to the fact that actually, yeah, no, there's just nothing but butts and people's tits on the internet at all times. But we've become increasingly as a culture saying that this is okay. And so I wanted to have that discussion about pornography. I was listening to a Catholic podcast and they were talking about...
So let's look at this. It sounds like what they're calling porn, or at least what she's calling porn, is actually just sexualized, promiscuous imagery of women showing off their tits and asses. So I'm going to do a cursory examination of this here. I just Googled it. Academics behind the research based their results on analysis of the million most frequented sites in the world. Their estimate, just 4% of those websites were porn. So apparently 4% of the internet. That looks like internet rather than specifically social media is porn. But that's according to BBC News. Doesn't say what year that's from. In 2019, it says, yeah, I'm seeing 4%. 35% of all internet downloads are related to pornography. So it could still be the case that 30% of downloads are porn downloads, yet the internet takes up 4% of the internet, and a lot of people are using the sites that take up a tiny minority of the internet, if that's true. 30%. This one says 30% of internet content is porn. So there's a huge difference between. And this says around 35% of all internet downloads. Well, that's specifically downloads, like it said before. This one says 6% of searches were for sexual content. So let's say between 4 and 30, that's a massive range, but let's say between 4 and 35% of the internet is porn. So that's not literally all of it. She probably was being a little hyperbolic there, but just rhetorically. So she and probably her husband also likely didn't actually mean literally all of the internet, but they probably meant most of it. And I have that instinct too, but technically the overwhelming majority of it is actually still not porn related. Even if we go with the most massive number I saw there just in my admittedly cursory examination, if 35% of the internet is porn, that means that still 65% it is not porn. So that's still not an overwhelming majority, but a massive majority. So there's their just complete assumption based on nothing that they probably didn't fact check at all.